Some viewers may find this disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hi my loves, it's Destin Choice and you're watching Choice TV. For today's video, I really had to get on here and talk about Angela Stanton, a very popular YouTuber and conservative commentator who recently made it clear that she pretty much has to disassociate from her son. Angela Stanton is a very popular YouTube commentator who's been known to have a very pretty solid relationship with Trump. So I'm sure y'all know where this is going. Long story short, she has very conservative values and beliefs, and she's known for her shock value, abrasive personality, and her straight to the point directness about her political views, conservatism, being pro-life, and all these other things.
Because you believe that doesn't make it that other women have to believe that. You can believe that you're against abortion, and that's fine. You can be against abortion, but you can't make another woman do what she wants to do with her body.
I don't think she's trying to make them.
Why does the Democrat Party have to pay for it? Why do us as pro-lifers, people that believe in life and want your children to live, your future children to live, why do our tax dollars have to pay for those children to be slaughtered? Because not only are they murdered and dismembered in the womb, but then their body parts are sold and some of them are harvested. So what they're voting for on the floor now is funding it. I don't want to support a party that wants to pay for Black life to be exterminated. I do not support the Democrat Party. If you can't give Black women another option besides abortion, and if every time we come up as a Black people, as a community on the floor, the only thing we're being offered is free access to abortion, then that tells me you don't really care about Black life.
I'm just asking.
But you did. Some of the things I don't agree with. I'm not anti, because when you say anti-LGBTQ, you putting in lesbian, bi, gay, you lumping everything in together.
So what are you anti? What are you against then? Explain. I'm asking. So what are you against, ma'am?
This is what I don't agree with. I don't agree that I should be forced to recognize a man as a woman if he has had a sex change. I don't believe I should be forced to recognize that. I also don't believe that children should be associated with anything LGBTQ. I'm not against anybody grown doing what they want to do, but I am against associating children with that, and here's why. When you break down LGBTQ, what it means and what it stands for, it's all sexual preference. Children shouldn't be identifying with sexual preference. So when you have gay characters in cartoons, in every essence, you are opening up the door and teaching children about sex. This is my opinion. I feel as though laws need to be in place that protect children. Even when it comes to children, why are we confusing children with gender identity?
I don't think that children are confused when they say, this is the body that I feel like I have, and this is what I am. I don't think anyone's forcing it on them.
If I say I'm a turtle, does that make me a turtle?
Is that a gender that's an option for you?
Y'all can have an idea of why she's pretty much famous. To make a long story short, she pretty much has ruffled a lot of people's feathers throughout the years. She even went viral for going in on Hollywood Unlocked, did a whole interview with Jason Lee, and she grilled them, and she said a lot of really insane things.
Now, are you saying as a mother that I don't have the right to call my son by the name that I gave him at birth? It ain't been no name change, and it ain't been no transition. So why are you all asking me to respect something that's not even real? It doesn't exist.
My answer to that is yes. If your daughter, your child wants to be called what she wants to be called, you should honor that.
Well, if your mother want to be called a dumb crackhead hoe, is that what you gonna call her? I'm just asking.
Well, she's dead. Wait.
I'm just asking.
But I enjoy her content and I do like her because she does stand on business, and a lot of her values are very valid because you can tell she definitely does care about communities, women, people, and children.
One way to end it. Why is it that 70% of abortion clinics are in Black communities? We don't have not one fertility clinic. See, we get abortion clinics, they get fertility clinics. We get abortion clinics, they get fertility clinics. And if you think about something else that you just said a little bit earlier on in the interview, we're talking about situations that children are born into where there's no income, they don't have anywhere to stay, they don't have any support. Well, that's the same thing going on at the border. But they don't got abortion clinics at the border. They're telling us as American women, specifically Black American women, we need to abort our children. But if you coming across the border with your baby, oh, come to the land of milk and honey, the great land of opportunity. We'll take care of you. Joe Biden even said, I'll give illegal immigrants coming across the border $400,000 a piece. Can you imagine if they were to go to that Black single mother living in the hood, not even $400,000, offer $4,000, because I know some Black women that can make something jump with $4,000. Offer her $40,000. You know why they'll never give us that? Because they know that we'll never need them again. Welfare reminds me of an old man I used to date. I was in a relationship with him for 11 years. He would never marry me, right? But whenever my bills were due, I would tell him he would give me just enough. He had a whole lot of money. He would give me just enough. Rent due, $1,200. He'd give me $1,200, not 1 cent over, because he knew that every month the rent was due, that I would have to come back to him. He wouldn't give me $100,000 and say, here, baby, bump that, go buy you a house and start you a business, because then he felt like I wouldn't need him. The government system is the same way when it comes to Black Americans. They'll never give us enough to get over and get up. It's only enough to make sure we continue to come back every 30 days so that we can remain slaves to their system.
So I do appreciate and enjoy her commentary. However, she recently made up a post and she basically wrote this, addressing the fact that she has to pretty much disassociate from the idea of who her son is, because she pretty much feels like she lost her son.
The commentator and activist put up this post on Instagram, which she later deleted, and she basically put up and said, "This morning I woke up and chose to set myself free. Elon Musk made me confront something I never wanted to accept. Jay isn't coming back. The woke mind virus took my son too. Rest in peace, Javian. I'm finally free. I will always love you." And then she shared a photo of her son when he was very, very young. And if you're wondering who her son is, basically this is her son.
Snapback attitude, where every time I tell him something, you know, it's got to turn into an argument. He thinks he knows everything, like he's almost unteachable. In addition to that, I think that he's probably fought really hard to get people to accept him for who he is. He may probably still feels like he has that battle. I guess raising two boys that were really, really tough and just always played sports and were always rough. Jay wasn't like them. He wanted to, you know, play with makeup, and he wanted to dress up with dolls, and more of his friends were females. He was just different from his brothers.
Like, been there for a minute. Like, she kind of paved the way. No shade. No shade, just a little bit. Unapologetically Black. Bitch walking around with a high-top afro, bitch, in 2012, gay as hell. Like, baby, low-key a pioneer. I miss you. Hope all is well. Thank you, babe. I hope all is well with you, too.
So basically, out of respect, I'll refer to her child as their child, or they child, or they them. Whatever they choose to be identified as, I'll just respect that. Essentially, her child is a popular YouTuber and streamer on Monkey and on Twitch named JB's. JB's is known for gameplay videos, busting it wide open, and, you know, trolling people on Monkey. And overall, JB's is pretty successful. So her child basically transitioned from being a man to now being a woman. And I'm not going to lie, I wasn't shocked that that was him or them at some point, because I would have never thought. So basically, JB's has been throwing it back, and considering she's known for having a good relationship with Trump and having a lot of strong political beliefs and ideologies and conservative values, every time her son does something insane, people are quick to screen record it, send it to her. People are quick to tag her in it and say, oh, these are your beliefs. Look at your baby boy. Look how he is now. How do you feel about that? And honestly, their relationship has been very strange, not only because they both have very strong personalities and they don't really get along, but mostly because of her political beliefs and how she views who used to be her son, who is now trans. She has also made it very clear anytime people bring up her son that she does not support the lifestyle. And to be honest with you, that's a little unnecessary. The world does not need to know about your ideologies and thoughts about your son. I guess she has very strict political beliefs, conservative values, but she does not need to make it clear how she feels about her son.
Let's address the fact that you just basically said that I'm misgendering my own child, because it's the audacity for me. Because what I have right here in my hand is called a receipt. This is a birth certificate, right? I was there. I gave birth. See, I don't remember seeing anybody on this panel that was in the hospital room with me when I gave birth to my son. Now, I don't know if any of you have looked down in his pants to see exactly what his anatomy is, whether he has a penis or a vagina. But the last time I checked his mama, he had a penis. So for me, I feel that it's very disrespectful because this is what we have here. There's only one person on this earth that gave birth to Javian. That's me. I can't expect anybody else to feel the way that I do because I'm the only one that is his mother. But what is disrespectful is for you as a man, right? Because that's just like if I see your mama and I say your mama is your daddy. That's disrespectful. That is my son. Now, if you want to address him as a woman, you can, but to feel like you have the right to force me to call my man child that I birthed, that I raised, that I sacrificed for a woman, that's disrespectful. Now, we don't have to agree, but what gives you, if you all feel like you can pressure me enough to make me believe that he's a woman, then why do you all feel like I don't have the right as his mama to pressure him enough to make him believe that he's a man? How do you all have more rights and influence?
How to make themselves less estranged so that way they can fix things. And essentially she went on the show and she cussed out Dr. Phil, she cussed out the trans activists, and she made it very clear that she is not going to support the fact that her son was a transition and take hormone pills, even though her son is fully grown and like 22 years old now. She just doesn't stand by it and she'll never agree with it. The reason why her son is doing this is because for a long time, her son has always felt this way, or her son, who's now her daughter, has always felt this way. You know, they have always felt this way about themselves, and she has even went on numerous, interviews addressing this. She made it clear that she thinks that a lot of it is because of the schools, a lot of it is because of indoctrination, and she believes that his feminine habits and his infatuation with, wanting to be a woman and, having feminine attributes, it has lots to do with the fact of the media.
They are teaching your children, they are indoctrinating your children 8 hours a day, Monday through Friday. And then when our children grow up and they're 16 and 17 and we're sitting across from them and we realize you don't have the same morals I do, you don't have the same beliefs that I do. Video games. When I was a young adult raising my children, I realized that I allowed them to partake in video games because video games for me was like a babysitter. When they were playing the video games, I was able to get a break. I was able to work on some things that I needed to. It was a babysitter, right? And what I did not realize was the world that the video games opened my children up to. Especially now where they have all of this gaming and all of this streaming, you really have no idea who your children are talking to, what they're dealing with. And the video game world is just it's another world, kind of like the world that we live in. So things that we have to do when it comes to monitoring our children, what they're watching, that stuff needs to be monitored too in video games. The exposure that they have in video games, these people have sex in video games, they do drugs, they rob, they kill, they steal. Another thing that's very important that parents need to pay attention to is the anime, right? Because your children can create a character. What type of character, right, are your children creating? I have a son who has decided that he wanted to transition at the age of 19. When I look back, I realized that every character he ever created was a female. When I never paid attention to that. It never dawned on me. I'm just like, what? I didn't realize that they are trying to make this world that is not a reality an actual reality.
Since you brought that up, in regards to the son, right? I know you have a certain view on sexualization of children. Mm-hmm. I don't know exactly your view on the trans things, right? But how was that as a parent, just as a parent, put all that other stuff, how was that a parent? How did you deal with that?
Well, I didn't, because in my house, a child is a child. So we're not even dealing with those type of decisions. I mean, as an adult, yeah, it was still traumatic for me because you're trying to tell me that after, 19 years of raising you as a male, that all of a sudden you're a female. Now, we're going to talk about common sense. Common sense to me is absolutely not possible.
Which is insane to me because he had kind of a male figure in his household. He had a father in his life, in their life. It's kind of unfortunate that she kind of would say that because people always say, oh, the only reason men are like this is because they don't have no fathers in the house. But there are plenty of young boys that grew up with fathers in the house that turned out to be gay or feminine. You know, look at Magic Johnson's son. Magic Johnson's son is running down the runway with a whole face of makeup and glammed up and everything. Is it the fact that he didn't have a father in his life? Magic Johnson was very active in his son's life. What about that? You know, there's a lot of people. You know, what about Dwayne Wade? Dwayne Wade was very active in his son's life, and he's a very, I guess what some people may consider masculine man to some degree. And he's an athlete. You can't get more masculine than that. He's a pro athlete at that, a legendary one. So you can't use the, oh, but you know, there's no fathers in the household argument, because I personally believe, you may disagree watching this, that sexuality is something that you're born with. You're born with that shit. For those of y'all who see gay people or trans people, I believe those people are born that way. You know what I mean? So it just is what it is. But she has a strong belief that it's just a mental illness. And to some degree, she's not far off. You know, a lot of what trans people have to go through is mental illness. That's why a lot of them are super hyper depressed. That's why a lot of them always see themselves as something that they'll have a hard time fully being able to grasp and understand. A lot of it can be considered a mental illness. You know, it just is what it is. Gender dysphoria is a real thing. You know, when you look at the definition of that, it pops up. When you diagnose a lot of trans people, they end up coming up with that. So it just is what it is. The problem with Angela Stanton that I do have is the fact that she feels the need to kind of broadcast this, because to some degree I feel like this is somewhat attention seeking. You can kind of tell that she definitely had an issue with her son again, because they've been having issues for years. You know, this has been an ongoing feud on the internet, on TV, on reality TV shows for years. They've always been going back and forth about her child's lifestyle. And due to her child's lifestyle wanting to be a woman, Angela Stanton just always feels the need to always interject and say, this is how I feel, this is what I feel. And then his JB's fans always feel the need to just be like, oh, well, you know, at the end of the day, you know, your child is now a woman, so why would you say this, that, and the third? And she always feels the need to kind of say too much, which makes it seem like she's also kind of disrespecting her child. Because your child exists as this. And to some degree, some people kind of view this as karma, because she has always said a lot of problematic things about the trans community and the gay community, and she said some problematic things. I'm not saying she's transphobic or homophobic. You got to be careful how you say it, because, you know, YouTube is strict now. I don't think she's homophobic or transphobic, because, I mean, I don't think she has any hate in her heart, but you can definitely tell that she treats her child very differently. She even said herself that her other children are masculine, but this child turned out different. And she kind of treats this child like this child is an oddball. You know, she makes it very clear that she doesn't want her child referring to themselves as a woman around her other children or around other people in general when in her household. And that's wrong. And that's why a lot of these children always end up killing themselves or feeling like they have to go hard for the LGBT community. There's a reason why a lot of LGBT people go so hard for the community, because their own community that they came from, that they were born into, kind of shun and reject them and make them feel different. Even when you think the world is progressing and becoming more open and more, you know, accepting, you come across people who remind you just how hateful and not as accepting as the world can be. And in my personal ideology, how I view it is this: people don't have to accept you. It's not my responsibility to have somebody accept me for what they think, or me accept you. You know, if I see something that I don't like, or someone sees something they don't like about me, people don't have to accept you. It just is what it is. Who the fuck cares? You know, there's millions of people in the world. A lot of people aren't going to respect you. A lot of people aren't going to like you either because of your choices. I mean, let me ask you this. Do you like everybody? Do you like all your coworkers? Do you like all your relatives? So how the fuck should everybody like and accept you? You know, you just have to kind of keep that in mind before you get offended when somebody says something that's transphobic or homophobic or, you know, racially insensitive. You know, you got to keep that in mind. You know, if someone wants to be stuck on their core values and they don't want to be educated or they don't want to be changed or have the ideas shifted, you got to just accept that.
Why would we want to create competition? Mm-hmm. You understand where I'm coming from? Like, we love our brothers, we love our fathers, we love our nephews, you know, we love our sons, because God knows I love mine, right? But that is not your destiny, son, right? And I'm your mama, and I love you, and I give my life for them. I swear to God, right now, today, if I had to. But because I am a parent, a real parent, and I'm not your friend, I have to tell you, son, that is not your destiny. Now, if the world hates me for being honest to my child.
You told your son that?
Of course.
How old is he now?
He's 19.
And when did you tell him that?
I've told him that his whole life.
See, that's why I believe people are born that way.
Well, I do.
You can't be born that way.
Yes,
because
I don't feel like he chose that life.
But listen, you can't just let's just talk facts now, because you are the fact checker. Babies aren't born anything. The only thing that babies know how to do when they're born is suck a titty and use the bathroom. They don't have the capacity to think. They develop as they grow. So attraction comes through observation. You have to be able to see something and understand that you like it to even know what you're attracted to.
At 2 or 3 years old, 4 years old.
You don't know what you like until you begin to develop a personality and the concept to even be able to think. A newborn baby.
But I believe you're born with Y and X chromosomes.
You're born with chromosomes, but that don't mean.
But some of them may have more Y chromosomes than L. That's why some men are more macho than other women.
Gay.
Yeah. What do you think it does?
I know men that's straight that have feminine quality.
She treats her child like her child is messed up and thinks, oh, well, my son was this and my son was this, that. Let's be real for a second. Let me ask y'all a question. All of y'all who got children, let me ask you a question. For those of you who got children who grew up to be gay or grew up to be trans, or if you have children that, or cousins or relatives or nieces or nephews or cousins or relatives in your family who were once young, we all saw signs, okay, yeah, when they're older, they probably gonna be gay. Like, don't lie, you've had relatives or friends that you grew up with when you was a kid, and you was like, yeah, they're probably gonna be gay when they get older. You just know it. That's not always the case for all of them, but you just know it, and a lot of times you just pick up on these signs, and she saw the signs, I'm sure she's just trying her best to ignore it and just wanted to think that her kid was just being different. But in reality, she saw the signs. I don't think it was the video games or any of this stuff. I really wish that she would keep stuff like this off the internet, because it just shows her that she is furthering the divide between her and her child. And to be honest with you, she has every right if she doesn't want to view her child as a she or as a them or as a they. She gave birth to a boy and a son, and it is what it is, and that's what she wants to see her child as. And that's fine. But what I will say is she's not going to make life any easier for herself not embracing her child and not accepting her child's lifestyle, because if anything, that's just one less person at your Thanksgiving dinner that you would love to be there. That's just one less person at the holiday events that isn't going to be there because they know that they're going to be ostracized or low-key picked apart as time goes on. I get that that's probably traumatizing for her, but sometimes parents got to understand that you have to let your child live for themselves. As long as your child isn't affecting you in a way where it's legit hurting people and harming people, and they're not out here doing all types of uncivilized things that are destroying lives, accept people for who they are. It is what it is. Just like how people don't have to accept him, people don't have to accept your values as well. She may think that she's in the right, but you feeling like you're in the right doesn't always mean you are right. But I will say, I do respect her opinion. It is what it is. That's that for this video, and yeah, that's that. Choice out this bitch.
And I look across the water, and I think of all the things what you're doing. In my head I paint a picture. Now since I come home and my body's been a mess, and I miss your ginger hair and the way you like to dress. Now would you come on over? Stop being a fool, Valerie. Now why don't you come on back to me, Valerie? So why don't you come on back to me? Oh, won't you come on over? Stop making a fool. Why don't you come on over? Did you have to go to jail and put your house out up for sale? Did you get a good lawyer? Now since I come home, and my body's been a mess, and I miss your ginger hair and the way you like to dress. Are you sure? Are you